The rain on the planet Nerathis wasn't like Earth rain. It shimmered violet in the air, drifting down in slow glowing ribbons that painted the streets in pale light. It looked beautiful, until you realized it was mildly acidic and could eat through unsealed metal in under an hour. Detective Ronan Vale didn't mind. He'd worn worse weather on worse worlds. What he did mind was the assignment. Infiltrate the black market ring trading restricted tech to the Lethari, an alien species with purple skin, silver eyes, and a tendency to trust humans a little too easily. He'd been undercover 3 months now, posing as a rogue ex-cop turned smuggler, long enough to learn that the so-called criminals weren't the monsters the Federation made them out to be, especially not her. She called herself Sira. He'd met her in the Neon Bazaar 2 weeks ago. She was sharp, quick-witted, and entirely too curious about him. Her skin shimmered lavender under the market lights, and when she smiled, it was like someone had switched the whole planet from grayscale to color. He should have walked away. Instead, he'd found himself talking. And somehow, somewhere in the middle of pretending to be someone else, he'd started telling her truths instead. Now, as he watched her running toward him through the glowing rain, her bare feet splashing, panic written all over her face. He knew the thin line between duty and feeling had just snapped. "Ronan," she gasped when she reached him. "Please, you have to listen." He played his part, keeping his voice low and even. "You shouldn't be here, Sira. You know what I am." "Yes," she said breathlessly, eyes wide. "That's why I came. You're not just another smuggler. You're a peacekeeper. You can help her." Ronan's stomach sank. "Help who?" "My sister," Sira said, clutching his jacket. "They caught her. The patrols. They said she was carrying stolen human tech, but it wasn't hers, I swear." "Someone planted it." Ronan's pulse kicked up. He knew about the raid. He'd been the one who tipped it off. He looked away, jaw tight. "Sira, if your sister's in custody, I can't interfere." "Can't or won't?" she demanded, voice cracking. Her eyes shimmered with tears that caught the violet light. "You told me once you wanted to make things right between our kinds." Was that a lie? He met her gaze and hated the way her words hit. "It wasn't a lie." "Then help me," she whispered, "please. She's all I have left." They found shelter in the half-ruined shell of a market stall. The air buzzed with static from the storm, and outside the streets glowed like rivers of liquid amethyst. Sira huddled close to the heater he carried, her wet clothes clinging to her pale violet skin. He tried not to notice the way her shoulders trembled, or the way her voice softened when she said his name. "I know you're one of them," she said quietly. "A lawman. You move like one. You think like one. But you don't feel like one." He gave a small, humorless laugh. "And what does a lawman feel like?" "Cold," she said simply. "Like the Federation's justice, cold and blind." Ronan looked at her then, really looked. The rain had dried on her face, leaving faint glowing streaks where it touched her skin. "You think I'm different?"
he asked softly. She hesitated.
"I want to." He turned away, the weight of his badge, hidden beneath his shirt, burning like guilt against his chest. By nightfall, they'd made it to the old refinery tunnels, the kind the Lethari used to hide from patrol drones. The smell of ozone and rust filled the air. Ronan activated a small holomap, pretending to study it. In truth, he was torn between two impossible choices. If he helped her sister escape, he'd blow his cover and face a Federation tribunal. If he didn't, he'd lose the one person who'd made this world feel less like exile. Sira watched him, her expression unreadable. "You're thinking of betraying someone," she said. He blinked. "What? I can feel it," she said softly. "We sense emotion through resonance." "Yours hums with conflict," he sighed. "You make it sound poetic." "It's not," she replied. "It hurts." He looked up and their eyes met in the low blue light. Something in her gaze made him forget every lie he'd told. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he said quietly. "None of it." Sira stepped closer. "Then tell me what's real, Ronan, just once." He hesitated, the truth clawing its way up his throat. "I'm undercover," he said finally. "Federation intelligence. I was sent to dismantle the tech ring. The raid that caught your sister." She froze. "Was mine," he finished. For a moment, she just stared at him. Then her voice broke. "You lied to me." "I had to," he said quickly. "If I didn't, I'd never get close enough to stop the smugglers for good." "You mean stop us," she said bitterly. "You call it justice, but it's just fear." You're all afraid of what we can build, what we can be. He stepped forward. Sierra, listen to me. Your sister's innocent. I can prove it. But if I go back now, I'll be branded a traitor. Tears welled in her eyes again, luminous in the dim light. Then why tell me at all? Because, he said, voice cracking, you deserve the truth. Silence hung between them, thick and painful. Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon. Then Sierra reached out, hesitant, trembling, and placed her hand on his chest. Your heart, she whispered. It beats so loud. He caught her hand gently. So does yours. Her fingers tightened around his. You could still walk away, she said. Pretend you never met me. I tried, he admitted. Didn't work. The storm outside flared, violet lightning painting her face in sharp relief. She looked up at him, torn between anger and something softer. If you help me, she said finally, they'll hunt you too. He smiled faintly. Then I guess I'll need a guide. Sierra let out a shaky laugh. You're mad. Probably. And then before he could think better of it, he leaned forward and pressed his forehead gently to hers. Their skin pulsed with faint light, her energy brushing against his heartbeat like music. For a moment, everything, the rain, the danger, the lies, fell away. They escaped the tunnels just before dawn. Ronan used his badge override to intercept the prison transport carrying Sierra's sister. It was a stupid plan, the kind that burned careers and ended in classified funerals. But he didn't care. When the transport broke atmosphere, he sent the release code overriding the restraints. A few minutes later, the sisters stood reunited on the outskirts of the crystalline plains. Sierra turned to him, tears of relief glinting in her eyes. You really did it. Guess I did. You can't go back now, she said softly. I know. What will you do? He looked toward the rising twin suns. Maybe I'll see what justice looks like without orders. She smiled, sad, beautiful. You'll be hunted? He grinned faintly. So will you. Her laughter was soft as wind. Then she stepped close, taking his hand. Then we'll run together. He stared at her for a long moment, then squeezed her hand gently. Together. As they disappeared into the violet horizon, the first rays of morning broke over the plains, scattering light like shattered glass. For the first time in years, Ronan felt weightless, free. He wasn't sure if he was still a cop or a fugitive, or something in between. But when Sierra turned to look at him, her silver eyes glowing softly in the dawn, he knew one thing for certain. He hadn't just crossed a line. He'd found a reason worth crossing for.